Film is a fusion of sight and sound, and I think because the audience cannot see sound, it's not something that always comes to the forefront of their minds right away. But sound is just as important as visuals. Just like form and content, it's the merging of two tools, visuals and sound, that create a unified artistic vision that interacts with and engages the audience. My use of sound design varies from project to project and scene to scene in every film, whether I want to utilize diegetic sounds or non-diegetic sounds. Now, to explain what that means quickly, diegetic is a term meaning within the world, and non-diegetic would be something that comes from not within the world. Every scene has its own song, and in Last Night in Soho, there are a plethora of songs throughout the movie, all of which had to be cleared in advance before shooting started on either of those films. That way, we were able to play in all the cleared songs on the day, and because the rhythm of those scenes were paced in tandem with the music, we had choreography rehearsals with all the actors in advance so they could prepare for each particular song. It's an interesting energy you get from having so much music in your films. The actors are actually reacting to the songs themselves as they play. Personally, my interest in sound design increased greatly when I was making the TV show Spaced. In order to convey the ideas I had in my head, I ended up plucking sound design and music choices from other movies to show the editors what I hoped to achieve in many of the episodes. And when I was making my small, low-budget amateur movies growing up, the sound was always really, really lo-fi and limiting, and I would literally have to steal sound effects from movies and TV shows to achieve some dynamic moments I wanted to create. I literally stole punch sound effects from other action films on VHS. And I think the fact that I was forced to get creative with the sound design due to the lack of having a budget made me appreciate how essential good sound recording and sound effects are to film production. And when you do have proper production sound, you realize how much you can enhance a film with sound. And that's not to say that movies are made better with crazy sound effects in every single scene. It's as much the choice of how you use or perhaps don't use sound in quieter moments that can be just as impactful as a dynamic sequence. Again, filmmaking is all about the choices you make. Every choice should have a purpose. And whether it's immersing the audience further into the world of the film, revealing character through sound design, whatever it is, use sound with intention. It makes a film so much stronger as a result. Now, you don't want to pick a song you intend to play in a film without knowing that you can definitely use it. It's essential to clear any songs you really want to use before you start shooting, because if you fall in love with a very particular song choice and then you can't afford to clear that track, you will get into a real problem where you've shot a sequence that might not work at all with the alternate track that you're forced to use instead. So we didn't shoot a single moment of the Queen sequence from Shaun of the Dead without knowing we could 100% use the song. But once we did have the song, we could choreograph the entire sequence to the beat. Moreover, the actors could all wear earwigs, which are little transmitters they can put in their ears, so they could hear the song via those speakers, and that way you could record dialogue at the same time that they're listening to the progression of the song. It's usually because I've already imagined that sequence in my head with an existing piece of music. Whether that's totally in sync with what's happening on screen, or whether there's some sort of contrast, what is known as counterscoring, like when a really upbeat song plays while something horrific happens on screen, the possibilities are endless with pre-recorded music. That said, I do like working with a composer as well, and sometimes the scores and the songs in my movies go hand in hand, and that's certainly the case with The World's End, Baby Driver, and Last Night in Soho. That's not to say that everything I ever do will always have songs playing all the way through, but it's something I happen to personally enjoy. So just like how you might frame, stage, and edit an entire movie in a completely different way based upon the story or the genre, you'll likely do the same when it comes to the choices you make around a film's sound design. From the TV show Spaced onwards, I've always been a big believer in sound effects and sound design being something that can really accentuate the style of a piece. And I love using sound design to help tell a story or create a mood, or even just make the ordinary seem slightly heightened. And that's essential for me, and you can hear it within all of my movies. In Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver, I pushed these ideas further by having the sound effects be completely in time with the music. Sometimes with Baby Driver, because the whole movie was set to music and the character cannot move forward unless the right song is playing, I would sit there when I was writing and wait until I found the right track before I would even finish the scene. And I would try and write the scene to the track, or at least find a track that worked for the mood, that was as close to the same length of the scene as possible. My sound team and I have created such a specific shorthand with each other over the years that my team often knows exactly what I'm looking for when I ask for ideas. And there's nothing more valuable in any aspect of the filmmaking process, whether it's sound, editing, cinematography, than having great collaborators. In terms of the sound team specifically, I like to work with people who are like-minded, people who are always going to try and give everything they've got to the sound design, just like how I give everything to shooting the film on set. They won't be afraid to bring up suggestions or take some risks or try something new. The sign of a great collaborator is someone who wants to make the best possible product, just like you. I always have two pieces of advice for filmmakers who are making short films. Number one is to make sure the credits are not longer than the short itself. But number two is to make sure you can pay a sound recordist or a mixer to do the sound design properly. Independent filmmaking with poor sound quality can tank an entire project. Trust me, it's just not worth doing something of low quality when it comes to your sound design. People will watch a short or a feature that might be directed brilliantly, but they will forget all of that if the sound is grating on the ears. It leaves a bad impression, and it's just not worth putting time and money and effort into a project if you're going to skimp on the sound.